Apparently, it is not. Listen, how we doing out there, community? Let's get this story cracking. I know we starting early. You like, yo, what? How is he starting so early? How did Mohammed do it again? How does he start so early? You know, something had to sacrifice. We had a slight little panic in the beginning of the show. I just want to start this show off with shouts out David Costin, D-Tree Productions. He done saved the day again. Every time where I'm thinking I'm about to be out, it's going to be over. But none, come to find out, he done saved me. He done came through. What's up, Everett? Good evening, afternoon. I don't even know what you call this. Yo, anybody, shouts out to any of my Bakersfield followers. Isn't it weird? It's not hot this summer. Isn't that weird a little bit? Shouldn't y'all be a little worried about that? We all worried about every other apocalypse except the fact that it is, for some reason, it is not over 80 degrees. Like, this is easy, breezy, and beautiful weather. We have never seen this ever in Bakersfield at this time. This is absolutely ridiculous. It makes me wonder, what world are we really living in? I don't know what is real and what is fake. Hopefully these headphones are picking. Can you guys hear me fine and well? What's good? What's good, everyone? I don't know Avi's, so I apologize if I don't know your name. I know Everett because, you know, you guys know. Listen. I jinxed it. Nah, I promise you. Yo, Papa Smurf, I didn't mean to jinx it, but I'm telling you, this is weird. We should not be. It's going to be in the 90s on Saturday. That's crazy. I can't ever really see that. I just take this as a blessing. The fact that we have beautiful weather for a change and we don't have to sit up here and deal with like the sweat that sticks to the back of our shirts. You know, that's the thing about Bakersfield summers. You have to, all your laundry goes up, the sweat goes up. You undershirts, you be going through 3-4 shirts, and especially if you over like 120, 150, take gender off the table. If you are over 150 pounds, you is going through draws like crazy during the summer. I kid you not. Yo, listen. Oh, what's good with you? What's good? I'm hoping the audio is crisp and everything is great. Oh, I hope I plugged into the right mic. That's always one of the biggest concerns that I have while I'm trying to get this show going. Hopefully the settings are right. I didn't even check it last time because I realized in the last episode I didn't save to the right SD card, but it's all right. This is what we're going to call a gimme episode, because you know why? I'll be honest with you. I only had one topic in mind, and this one topic, I promise you couldn't go anywhere on the internet without talking about it, and I'm pretty sure you see it in the caption. I'm pretty sure you see it everywhere else, but I wanted to actually just talk about this submarine talk. But before I get to it, shouts out to everybody in the community. Shouts out to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and most importantly, Instagram. Shouts out to everybody who is watching, who stays with me through this entire journey, this little thing I call life. I want to thank everybody who tuned in yesterday. Oh my gosh, what a breakthrough of an episode. Soon I need to get a therapist in on here, so I'm not just sitting in here talking to this camera. I can really be having a true therapy counseling session and really have a breakthrough, you know, live on camera. That's the true goal of this. That's the true goal of this entire operation. But for those who are just now tuning in with me, if you're new to the show, if you're new to the entire operation, I want to firstly start off by saying good afternoon, good evening, and let me know how you're doing from 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Go ahead, throw that in the comment section. If you are doing excellent, if you're having an excellent day, go ahead, throw a 10 in that comment section. And if you're having a horrible day, go ahead and throw a 1 in that comment section. It's all good. We can be honest with one another, because no matter what number you put in that comment section, it's my manifest destiny to raise it through this conversation. That's it. That's my overall goal each and every day. My goal is for you to learn about yourself through the tribulations of the tribulations I have in my life. I'm also paying attention to the comment section. We got some ones. I can't have you with no ones. We can't have no ones. We got a couple new people in the community. This is really tight. It's really cool to see new people. If you guys have been paying attention to my page, I also got a post that was something a little different than usual. I also have a shared collab post with Garces Memorial. So shouts out to all my Garces parents. My first time speaking to you. Shouts out to my Garces students that be in the PLTW. You already know what it is. My robotics students. Nice to see you. And also shouts out to my loyal community fan base who's there with me, who has conversations with me each and every day. And also shouts out to the one and only Phobal, the subtle executive producer of this show, who's just been part of every step of my growing process. Because, man, this feels good. But let me be honest with you guys. Before I even ask you about your day, I want to talk about my day like I talked about before. I came into this show talking about the weather, but listen, y'all need to understand the plight of the videographer is something that I don't think anybody will really ever understand. Being a videographer is so important, but yet so ignored. It's kind of like ambiance in a room. When the ambiance in the room is, or a DJ, I should say, when a DJ is doing their job correctly, no one really even notices. But when a DJ is doing their job so incorrectly, for some reason, everyone becomes a Billboard music writer, and it makes no sense to me. And that's kind of like the same thing I go through as a videographer. Today, a job that I did probably 3-4 months ago, right at the peak of when, right when during ABLO was being born, I did a gig, and it was a simple gig. It was simply just recording more dance recitals. I'm not sure if you guys paid attention over the past couple of days, but I posted something from the Lioness Den, a gig I did. But I've been getting a lot more dance clients this past couple months. I'm about getting one a month now. But what ended up happening over the gig was the client reached out and said, yo, what's the status with the footage? I completely forgot. In that whole mist of me having a baby and life and adapting and whatnot, I forgot about some jobs that kind of slipped through the cracks. And I'll be completely honest. I'll be completely transparent. Look, players mess up sometimes. It's all right. It's all right. It's all part of the process. You're going to learn if you're trying to start your business. You're going to learn how to work out the kinks. So anyways, I came here in a total this frenzy. I said, yo, the client just asked for the videos. I don't know where they are, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So luckily, my man D-Tree came through in the clutches. Look at the clutchness, I shall say. Came through like Game 6 LeBron in Miami, if that makes any sense to you. Or came through like Dame from the logo, if that makes any sense to you. Or came through like Iverson when he stepped over Lou Will, if that makes any sense to you. Hooked me up with some software and allowed me to retrieve the footage off the SD card. Yes, I said retrieve. That means I already deleted it. So the lesson in all this is you need to make sure, if you're a videographer or some type of media creator, make sure you have a bulletproof system on how you're going to save all of your footage. Because I kid you not, I thought I was good, I thought I was the best, and I thought I was the greatest at it. And literally that one thing happened, and it could have foiled my entire operation and even foiled a potential relationship with a client that I will truly need in the near future. So shouts out David again. And make sure you guys, when you're going through your processes and your savings and you're putting things in the right places and making sure you have things backed up, make sure you just check twice. You know what I'm saying? Check once, check twice, and I promise you it will never happen again. You guys know, back when you used to write papers back in the day in high school, how you used to check to see if you hit control save, control save, control save. These new kids, y'all don't even really know about it. You see, y'all grew up in an era where autosave was a thing. When I had a computer, when I had to really type my papers up from scratch, you got to understand, I was typing these things up and hitting save like I don't even know. That gesture, that I didn't even know any other key on the keyboard by memory. I would wake up from my sleep in the middle of the night looking like Dracula and be like, control save. Control save, because there has been times when I have lost papers, I've lost things, I've lost data because I forgot to save. And I can't believe it. Here we are 20 years later, and I still have the same situation with money on the table. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, because this is a paid client. Oh my gosh. You do not want to be in a position where you are losing any type of data or any type of file, especially when it counts on your finances. But while we're in the conversation of things getting lost, I'm pretty sure you cannot ignore the talking point of all broadcasts today, which was the talk of the submarine. Who's seen that at least 2 times coming down their timeline today? Be honest with me. It doesn't matter what timeline you use. If you're young, you probably go to TikTok or Instagram. If you're older, you're probably at the Facebook or YouTube. Who has heard about this submarine, this Titanic submarine that has gotten lost in the midst of the ocean? Who's heard about it? Because I kid you not, I could not believe what I was reading when I was reading it. I did not know what day and age. I did not know people cared that much about the Titanic to where they said, you know what? I got to see it myself. I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio really sank. I don't really think Rose left enough space on the door for that man. So I need to go drive up and I need to pull up to the ship and see what's real, what's really good. What's really good, Miley, as Nicki Minaj once said. But anyways, you guys gotta understand. Before I actually get into this conversation, I want you guys to understand. There's some things in this world that I don't think I would really understand, and it is wealthy people's obsession with death. And when I'm saying this, I'm not saying this in a sense of from a morbid standpoint. I don't understand people who get so much money and feel the need to literally explore outside of the realm of the world they live in. Is it possible that when you reach a certain tax bracket that you just said, you know what, Earth here, waste of time, don't need it, don't even want to bother? Is it possible that when you make over, what is it, maybe $100 million? Is it $50 million? What is that price point to where you find yourself saying, I need to go explore space or go underneath the ocean? Because that is literally what happened today. Now, I believe that the company is not called Watergate, which I thought would have been such a great name for this situation, the Watergate of Submarine. But I believe it was called Subgate, if I'm not mistaken. I am not a news broadcast, so let me just state this before I continue with this story. I don't know the details of this story at all. I just have an overall gist of it. If you want real serious breakdown of it, click out of my video, go on YouTube, type it up. I'm sure CNN will give you, or whatever, will give you some type of elaborate breakdown that tells you about what happened. But here, I'm just here to talk about my opinion on the entire situation. If you think it's ridiculous, it's okay. You can go somewhere else with it, and I appreciate it. OceanGate, thank you. OceanGate was the name of the company. That's why I love the community. Y'all always got my back. Listen, so OceanGate was the name of the submarine company where essentially you can get the opportunity to explore the realms, the depths of the 1910 ship called the Titanic. The Titanic was this luxurious ship that those of all tax brackets got the chance to travel from one side of the world to the complete other. I'm leaving all these gaps and opportunities, all these details open for your own research. I need you guys to fill it in. So anyways, the best thing about the Titanic, or what I would say, do you see the infographic on how deep it really is? I have not seen that. Actually, I want to talk about. I could talk about that. I'll text you so you can watch it. Perfect. Understand, the Titanic was an extravagant vessel, one shall say, because it was the first of its time. Now, we grew up in this day and age where obviously cruise ships are normal. We get this idea. We see Disney, Royal Caribbean. All of these types of cruise ships are gigantic. So everyone kind of gets the opportunity to see what it's really like. Oh, there it is. Look. There we go. Perfect. I love it. I love the community giving me with the facts. Damn, I keep getting lost, but I'm sorry. The Titanic was the first of its kind because we've never seen a vessel like this before. This is the opportunity. You got to see luxury on water. You got to see any types of things that were considered for the high and the bougie, the bourgeois class. It was happening on sea. Now, if you don't know how the Titanic story ends, of course, it hits this iceberg that scrapes a hole along the bottom of it, where water seeps into, where all the motors and engines are, giving it too much pressure, making it top heavy or back heavy. Essentially, the pressure causes the ship to crack in half. A bunch of people died. There wasn't enough lifeboats because it was deemed as unsinkable. When comes to find out, it was possible for it to sink. And in this entire process, and Hollywood got a hold of this story and went crazy, where we got our legendary movie, better known as Titanic, starring the one and only Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, not one of my favorite Leonardo roles, even though I'm not a movie guy. Wolf of Wall Street will always be number one through my eyes. However, I do think that movie created the obsession with this ship because there's a lot of things that happened in the early 1910, 1912, whatever kind of thing. And for some reason, that was the one standout piece from that era. So truth to say that Hollywood is kind of like the big push on getting people to care about whatever's going on, or at least getting people to care about what happened in history, because sometimes it's not about writing news stories. It's about repeating the stories that happened in the past, going back to my reference again to Wolf of Wall Street, which is actually based on a true story. So the Titanic had this love story essentially of this woman named Rose who meets this guy who doesn't have anything, doesn't have a lot, but he's essentially just supplying her with paint and dick. And in this process, we can arguably say that the Titanic was the first paint and sip that we've ever seen in today's culture. But it's all right. They got it off. It was cool. They had classical music, so it's considered classy. A lot of y'all at these paint and sips today, y'all aunties at these paint and sips today are not doing the Titanic work, but whatever. That's another conversation. So anyways, we're going through we're watching. I remember when this movie came out. I remember, or at least my first time seeing it, my mom was talking about its relevance. I really did become obsessed with it. For those who don't know, I'm obsessed with I'm obsessed with transportation. Number 1, cars. Number 2, planes. And number 3, boats. But more specifically, military watercraft is where I actually care about. Was what I actually care about. So, anyways, during that entire Titanic blockbuster release, is arguably one of the most popular movies of our modern day. We got people who became overly obsessed with it, which leads us to today, where the company better known as OceanGate that I talked about before gives you the opportunity to kind of go underwater and see the remains of the Titanic. Now, when I had this conversation with my students earlier today, it was funny because some of them, it was kind of like a split in the room. Understand, I'm with STEM students. These are the robotics, mathematics, engineering kids, so they don't really... How they think is a little different. They sometimes they lean pretty heavy on logic and sometimes they lack a little bit of emotion, or I should say social skills. So some of the students were saying, why do people care about what's underneath the ocean? I don't understand its obsession. Whereas all my water engineering students were like, yo, this is a pretty cool idea. And I asked them, if you were given $250,000, or if you had $250,000, would you take the opportunity to go see it? And a lot of them, unanimous across the room, was like, no. And a couple standouts said, yes, I would go do it. But then I asked them if they had the opportunity to go outer space, would they go do it? And they kind of got the same type of response. So you can see that this new generation's obsession with history it just isn't there. I think it's our previous generation that actually cares about seeing the remains of Rome, the remains of different societies, the remains of or at least the culture of that once existed before us. So millionaires today, like I said, like Richard Branson, who has an obsession with going out of space, Jeff Bezos, who has an entire space program, and of course Elon Musk, who has SpaceX, they have become obsessed with the world outside of the world that we live in now. So that was a long rant for me to kind of summarize everything of this entire situation to get to where we are today. What's my take on this entire yellow submarine situation? I said it earlier, but I don't think, like I'll say it again, I don't think I will ever understand people's obsession with going underwater. I learned how to swim at a really early age. I'm not necessarily afraid of water, but big, large ocean bodies of water are just really creepy and eerie to me. Nothing's really understood. So now I want to ask you guys, I want to ask the people in the comment section, if you had $250,000, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked my students, would you go see the Titanic? Would you care to go see the Titanic? Hit me with a yes or no. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Doesn't matter. I was going to see the overall general consensus in the comment section. Would you care to go see the Titanic? Because I do not understand why anybody would personally want to go see that. I can't wrap my mind around it. Vanessa says in the comment section, it's too much and too much of it is undiscovered. And I live in that territory as well. Honestly, people's obsession to want to go to see Titanic, I'm more obsessed with me trying to learn my everyday life and my reality. Like, my life right now is a Titanic cruise, and I don't need to go into the water and see what they haven't discovered yet, when I'm still trying to discover the realms of my reality as an adult. So I will never be able to understand anyone's obsession with wanting to go into the water. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm going to go ahead and read to the comment section. We got Nopes. Listen. Oh, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about some of the technology that they use in this submarine. Now, for those who don't know, this ticket was not no ticket. There was not no Spirit ticket to Miami. All right. This wasn't no quick trip to Vegas. This was a $250,000 ticket. And for those who are trying to wrap your head around what $250,000 is, $250,000. And see right here, the podcast, TCWS podcast says, what about the Logitech remote, Mo? I remember that having one of those, and it sucked while playing GameCube. Yes, listen, they took that $250,000 submarine and they attached it to a cheap Logitech off-brand GameCube controller. If you watch any of the interviews, I can't remember who actually conducted the interview. They kind of gave them a tour of the submarine. And he said, this is all you need. And the argument I had with one of my students, his better name is Crisco. If you guys check my page, he's the kid who's on my video, my most current video right now. He said that, well, Mr. Mo, why would they want to use any other types of technology if this works? And then I was trying to explain to him, I said, if you're spending of $250,000 on anything, I want to make sure it's not a mass produced product. I'm sorry, that's just me. If I'm spending $250,000 on a Rolls Royce, but it has a mass produced steering wheel that came from the Volkswagen Jetta, no knocks to the Jetta, I drive a Corolla, I don't want that Rolls Royce any longer, because I need to make sure that the highest level state of the art technology is in my steering wheel. Listen, I will not understand company. I do understand why companies cut corners, but I will not understand why someone would want to put that type of steering wheel or that type of mechanics inside something that has essentially so much money in it. And I'm not talking just on what they spent on tickets. I want to talk about how much money everybody, the cast, the crew that actually were on board the submarine owned. Now understand, $250,000 ticket, these are real estate. These are financial gurus. These are millionaires, multimillionaires. There's also, I've read that there's a billionaire on the ship as well. Now, what I did respect about the entire operation, the CEO of the company, he was actually on board as well. So I got to give my respect in this entire conversation. I do think the whole trip is a little ridiculous within itself, but more importantly, I do respect that the person who started the company went down with the ship. I'm not sure if you guys remember the iconic scene in the Titanic where the orchestra is playing the final song before they go down, and literally you see the crew, you see the captain take his hat off and say, "Farewell, boys," or whatever the phrase went, something like that. You just saw that level of respect from the captain because he said, "Yo, I'm part of this operation. I will go down with it." Honestly, you don't want to get hit with that lawsuit, even if you weren't. So if you was on the other side, my good brother, I'm kind of happy the CEO of the company went down with the ship. If the CEO of the ship went down with it, he dodged some lawsuits. I can tell you that. Now I feel real bad for his family. Listen. The shit they be charging with Camping World stuff. Like, seriously, you guys, you have to understand, this makes no sense. Oh, Sean, he said you deserve more followers. Thank you, man. We're going to get there. We are going to get there. We just got to give it a minute. We just got to keep on going with the show. And I know what time is going to grow. It is going to grow. But yes, you guys, I could not wrap my head around anyone's obsession with this. Now, what would be, I like to go through this entire subject with the who, what, where, when, why. So we started off with the who. We know the company's name is Subgate, or whatever anyone said. Oh, not anyone, excuse me. Vanessa actually corrected me earlier today. I wanted to make sure. OceanGate, thank you. So who? OceanGate. We know the company CEO is on board. What was it? It was a submarine. I don't know a lot about submarines. I wish I had somebody who was a specialist in this to really break down, have a conversation. I'm hoping something on YouTube, somebody does a breakdown like a submarine specialist. Kind of gives a breakdown on what exactly went wrong. Where this, I don't know the exact location. I wish I can give you the geographic points. I'm not a news broadcaster. I just like to give my opinion on situations. If you want the actual news, please go to the correct platforms that provide you with news. I provide opinion, personality, and commentary. That's my role in this operation. When this all happened today, and why did they do it? Because I think that it seems as if everybody who was on board that submarine were thrill seekers. Now, here's the thing. Can we put our foil caps on, our 10 foil caps for a second? Let everybody just, let's go into conspiracy land just to have a quick conversation so we can understand, so we can kind of just reach some form of solution in this, or let's just get weird for a second, right? So when it comes to conspiracies, there's some that just make a lot of sense, and there's some that seem ridiculous, right? I think a conspiracy, one of my favorite weird conspiracies, was actually by a guy by the name of Alex Jones, and he said the water was turning the frogs gay. And I learned, at that moment, I said, okay, this is not a conspiracy I can completely stand behind. It could just be due to my ignorance and my lack of knowledge on the situation, but I'm not willing. I didn't want to jump into that territory. Now, there's other conspiracies that I do think are kind of real. I'm not sure you guys have been paying attention to all this alien talk and things of that nature. Things are getting a little eerie. I think there's a glitch in the matrix, as they might say online. As I'm starting to understand more of life, I'm starting to recognize that the things that we once know at face value, sometimes there's a lot more behind it, but you just kind of have to dig a little deeper. So let me see. So what I want to talk about, So essentially, what I want to talk about at this very moment, let's talk about the conspiracy behind this yellow submarine. Now, this is what I think, right? If you guys know anything about the Titanic, there's some that said that a lot of Rockefeller, if you guys are familiar with Rockefeller, he's the one who kind of controlled iron throughout New York on the East Coast. One of the biggest business gurus before Bill Gates, before Warren Buffett, before Elon Musk, before every billionaire you put in your head, this guy Rockefeller, he was the OG. He essentially started the industrial era of America. Now, stay with me. It has been said, or it has been rumored through my little quick Google searches, I didn't put a lot of time into this, just enough for me to understand the concept, that he was supposed to be on board of the Titanic, but it's rumored that last minute he decided not to go. Now, what's interesting about this little tiny piece of information is that all of his competitors were on board that ship, and it was kind of speculated that he kind of knew that this ship wasn't going to make it across the ocean. So he decided to abort mission. Now, the information that was given to him, there was no telling who gave that information to him, but it was told that those who go across, their businesses will crumble with their livelihood. And he took full advantage of that. From right after the Titanic, he ended up starting literally Rockefeller as we know it. If you know Rockefeller Plaza in New York, those are his buildings. If you guys know the tree, the Christmas tree in New York we used to all watch on NBC and ABC and all that. Back when we actually used to watch television the organic way, he's behind all that. Now, he essentially monopolized steel in America. If you know anything about metal, I can't, ding, metal, that type of metal, understand, he has let me just say, a portion of that goes to him. Now, why am I telling? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check this conversation. Give me a second, Zia. I'm gonna get back in this comment section, but give me a second. Let me get this off. Understand. Here we are once again in the same situation. I'm trying to draw a parallel between a group of millionaire and billionaires getting into a submarine to go through the ocean to go see the remains of where other millionaires and billionaires have died. I immediately put on my tinfoil hat and I said, there is something about this fucking story that is not designed for me to know. This is above my pay wage, because I said, yo, who's behind this? Who's behind this? Now, the sad part about it is that, yes, there was a father and son that were on the submarine together. And for some reason, I immediately thought of Kobe and G. And I thought about, damn, that feeling you got to have as a parent to tell your kid it's going to be okay. We're going to be optimistic. But knowing that in the back of your mind, you might just pass away. I don't know. I can't imagine that feeling at all. So I have to take off my hat to the stress of the parent that is sitting down there with their son. And the other token, there's another father that's down there whose son who's at a Blink-182 concert. I don't know a lot about it. I don't know all the details of it, but who's at a Blink-182 concert while his dad is gone away at fishing, if that makes any sense. And it makes me wonder, yo, what if this was a planned attack somewhere? What if? I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm not saying I know the answer. But what I can say, isn't that a little funny? Same place, same time, same location. Zia, you said in the comment section, Rockefeller got bread. He owns damn near all the banks. Yes, very true. Listen. That is, I'm here to check the comment section. Yes, can you? And then Vanessa says right after, can you imagine being in the dark, freezing? Yes. This has got to be one of the weirdest feelings. And let's just imagine the level of pressure that is against your skull. Like, I don't want to scare anybody here, but have you guys ever jumped into a pool, right? Did a cannonball from a high dive or even a springboard. And once you hit the water, you clench in, and you turn into like this ball sphere and sink to the bottom. Listen. When you hit that bottom, your ears hit a level of pressure that it makes your head hurt. I remember when back in LA, there's a pool at I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Coliseum. Now, the Coliseum has a public pool that people were once allowed to swim in, and that's where my mom essentially taught us how to swim. She had a she even had a summer camp, better known as Arts and Academic Learning Center, where she taught not only me, but a lot of the students. We had swimming classes, and we all learned how to swim. Now, me being Mohammed, I had to go above and beyond. So I literally got in a Coliseum Olympic-sized pool and wanted to go from side to side. Now, I learned very quickly that getting across the Olympic-sized pool is not like the hood pool that they had down the street from my house. But what I did learn is that pool is a lot deeper. That pool was about 15, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 15 feet deep. And above me, I jumped off of a high dive that had to be about 30 feet in the air. I decided to do that dumbass cannonball idea by jumping off and holding my knees and going down to the bottom. And the pain that went through my head, I said, I will never do that again. Now imagine that, but miles upon miles deep into the ocean, hundreds of feet. Can you imagine that feeling? That when the oxygen starts wearing out, feeling your heart slow down, all of those feelings that go through, and mind you, you're all the way in the dark. Vanessa says it best. They got the ultimate Titanic experience. Listen, I know they didn't ask for it, but they got it. They got it. Listen, you guys have to understand, I'm going to just keep this comment section going. Shouts out to Vanessa, because she is definitely keeping this conversation afloat. No pun intended. She said because the fish that are in deep underwater, and when they're brought up too fast, their eyes pop out of their head. She's like, they think they imploded. Now, I'm trying to find out to the bottom of the ocean deep down, like, what kind of fish can be down there? Oh, it's crazy. If you guys ever want to see some eerie type of footage, just look up some of the documentaries about the deep ocean. It is one of the scariest places you'll ever see. And I can't imagine looking out a tiny windshield and then seeing the eyeball of the fish that's the entire size of the window. Listen, she said, watch the video. I want to see you watch the video. I wish there was a way. I want to go ahead and put it up on the screen, but there's no way for me to be able to really execute this. So let me go ahead. This is ridiculous. Hold on, let me see.
The Titanic is where the submersible might be located. When I tell you they are way down there, they are way down there.
This is
Again,
wild.
they have no GPS on the sub. Only way to find their
for you guys to understand, this thing is probably about 90 meters. I wish they had this in feet, but she hasn't even started with this video yet.
Location is the ship above. They receive text messages.
So
from the
to
submersible.
put things in perspective, they're deeper than the Statue of Liberty right now. To understand what that means is like, you guys know what the Statue of Liberty is. We just talked about Rockefeller. They are further down than the Statue of Liberty. Oh, this is eerie to look at. I can't. No. Yeah, no. They are deeper than the Eiffel. Oh my gosh, than the Eiffel Tower. I know I'm not giving a lot of feedback, and from a viewing standpoint, I apologize because you can't really see anything. But I want you guys. I might just have to repost this on my story so you guys can understand. Oh, this is getting eerie. This is getting scary. They're deeper than the world's tallest building in the world. This is all right. I can't do this, Vanessa. I can't hold you, girl. I can't do this. It's getting creepy to me. I listen. I will never understand people's fascination with wanting to see realms of the world that just haven't been discovered. It's not for me. I don't think it's ever going to be for me. It just doesn't make any sense. It just does not make any sense. You ever seen SpongeBob when they saw the ugly fish? Yes, literally, yes. That is what they're witnessing down there at the bottom of the ocean. I'm not. Well, anyways, listen. I want to ask one more question to the community. I already heard a bunch of no's. Let's ask a question that seems more appropriate. If that just seems more appropriate for my audience. If you received $250,000 and you got, and forget that. We go in another direction with this. If you had the option to see the deepest part of the ocean or go outer space and look at Earth, which one would you take? Now, understand, if you go out of space, you're taking on the risk of running out of oxygen. Understand that. You simply go quiet and float away. In the ocean, is essentially the same thing. If you ask me, if I put my tinfoil back on, I think that the deep realms of the ocean simulate the same amount of pressure that's right outside the ozone layer in space. So I want to ask you, if you had the option to either go see the depths of the ocean or go out of space and look at Earth, which one are you taking? I think they are equally scary. I think they are both equally scary. I think you cannot put one above the other in this operation. But I just want to know what y'all gonna do. Listen, my answer, I always knew from the rip, mine was always going to be outer space. But I want to know if I'm by myself on this after hearing this story. I know the word, listen, they said, I don't know, space is huge. That's very true. Space is very big. There's a lot of galaxies, a lot of things going on. Which one are you taking? If you had to take one or the other, are you going to take space or are you going to take the ocean? They are both equally scary. This is a wild. Listen, I want to open the floor for this because I'm taking the galaxy. I know I don't want to see. We got space for sure. Okay, we taking space. We going out of space. So we Mars. We going to Mars, y'all. We going to Mars. So if we had the $250,000, you had to pick either space or you had to pick or deep ocean. You taking space? So we can all agree that even though they're just equally as scary, we don't know what life forms are out there. Zir, you said you can't swim. Bro, you can't swim. And listen, out of space, you gonna die. You can't breathe. I guess you can't breathe in both of them, so I guess never mind. Space, we going with space. Aaron, Mr. Prezi, what's good with you? So everybody's taking space. I find that very hard to believe. Are you taking space because you're a prisoner of the moment in this submarine story? Or are you taking space just off of this was contrary to this yellow submarine situation, you taking space out the gate just already. That's just what you're doing. Like, for real. I want to know. I just want to know if you're swimming, keep it on the low because my heart. I'd never get a chat in the freaking and all my other platforms. Like Instagram is the only place that we get it cracking. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I like to have this conversation. I don't think anyone is more right than the other. I just like to open the floor for this discussion. I like this. You know, the shark might gonna bite me. You worry about a shark. Nigga, what about aliens, bro? What about the aliens? No, we don't even know what aliens look like. We all know aliens aren't real. No, I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you. Fucking with you. No. Vanessa, you send me scary things like this again, and we gonna box, girl. Because I'm still looking at this video, but I can't. I want to show it on screen because you lose.